What's up, Traders Edge? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option. Today, I'm going to wrap up the week. I'm going to prime you for next week. We'll take a look at what's going to happen with the S&P, the Triple Q, the Russell 2000, and preview the Fed. We'll also give you that one stock to watch for next week, talk a little bit about the VIX, and probably bonds as well. So with that, let's dig in. So Friday was another kind of inside day. SPX closed up about 13 points on the week. Pretty decent week, although pretty inside. We closed Friday at 68.49 and we rallied a little over 21 points. So all told, not a lot happening this week. We had some chop, some up and down chop, but really just kind of a slow, methodical move higher on the week. Similar situation with the Triple Q. It had a stronger week than the S&P 500. On the back of everything going up but NVIDIA. The real kind of standout was the Russell 2000. Which closed Thursday at a new all-time high, down a little bit on Friday, but all told, pretty nice week. We closed at 248 on 248.75 on the 28th, 250.84 on the on this Friday. So call it 1%, and again a new high for the Russell 2000 on Thursday. I like the Russell to continue to move higher. Now, another thing that is really interesting, pay attention to this red line. This is option prices. How much options cost in the Russell 2000? We are at the cheapest level that we have seen, save a single day in May and a short couple of days in February. Options have gotten really cheap in the Russell 2000. They don't look exactly the same for the Triple Q. Look, Triple Q option prices much higher relative, when you're looking back at some of the lows from July and August. Q still holding a little more premium, and SPX kind of riding in the middle, relatively low to where it's been, but not approaching any of the lows from, January and February of last year. So you can see we've got more volatility in tech names and mega cap names and less in small caps. There's some belief that small caps could really continue to run higher. Why? Well, again, let's look at that CME Fed Watch, folks. We closed the week at about 87% odds, held those. We have the Fed meeting coming up on Wednesday. That is going to be a big deal. I'm going to preview that in just 1 second. VIX, I'm going to pull off these option prices and get VIX back open. VIX closed at 1540. This is starting to approach those lows from August, September. If we want to get kind of year lows, we're going to need another point or so on VIX. But VIX is definitely pointing toward markets calming down. Well, take a look at what happened this week. It was a low volatility week. VIX should come in. Now, that being said, VIX closed 1540, and the December future, which expires in 12 days, is 1730. That is a big gap. That is real wide and points toward some expectations that we're going to get a big move potentially post Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve does, again, meet on Wednesday in the middle of the day. So let's take a look at what traders are looking for between now and Wednesday. S&P closed exactly 68.70 spot 40. So we could look at the 68.75 calls. That's going to be our at the monies. And markets are pricing in $65 of movement on Monday, Tuesday, and all day Wednesday, which includes the Federal Reserve. Less than 1%. I'll say it once, and I've said it multiple times. The S&P 500 consistently underprices event risk, and that is directly related to zero DTE program selling. Going into these events, the smart play is not selling. The smart play is buying if you want to play. Personally, I don't like playing that event specifically. What I prefer to do is go to like Friday, look at the 68.75 calls there. They're pricing in $91. That makes a lot more sense. That's going to cover, that gives us an extra 2 days. That gives us the full Fed reaction and some extra data that's coming in next week. So I really like Friday's options. And I think a $90 move, less than 1.5%, is, again, not expensive enough. And I'll be looking to potentially put a play on around this on Friday. Now, looking at bonds, you might argue bonds might even be the better play to attack this market than stocks. The market is pricing in, call it about a little bit less than $1 out of TLT. Well, TLT has been moving. If you look at the stock chart, it's been moving about 53 cents a day. So you get a whole week of 53 cents a day of movement. I think I can make some money owning TLT options. Now, last but not least, we have oil, and I'm going to get on crypto. Oil has found a floor, does look stronger. That is the opposite of what we're seeing in crypto. Every time Bitcoin looks like it's going to find a ceiling or find a floor, it kind of starts to roll over. You just have to watch the low from the 21st. If that gets broken, Bitcoin is going to run into some problems. We will, at a minimum, take out the lows from April, and then some decisions will be made. I continue to think Bitcoin is where there is some real risk in the market, which leads me to that one stock to watch, and that is MSTR. MSTR has done far worse than Bitcoin. It's just gone straight down. They had to do a stock sale this week. I think MSTR has real risk of breaking below 100, and I'm talking by the end of the year. So keep an eye on that. If Bitcoin sneezes, MSTR is going to get a terrible case of the flu. Call it the norovirus maybe, because it'll be coming out both ends. It'll be that bad. So there you have it. I've previewed the Fed. I've laid out, where the risks are, that one stock to watch, and we've kind of wrapped up the week. If you have not registered yet, join me and Vaz on Wednesday as we react to the Federal Reserve. It'll be live on this channel on YouTube or live at optionpit.com. You can join me and Vaz as we react to the Federal Reserve. So if you want to join us, you can click this link to add to calendar, or make sure you're liked and subscribed to this YouTube channel, and set it up as a primary alert so that when I go live, you are able to be aware that I am live. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I cannot wait to see you guys Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. I think Wednesday is going to be extremely interesting. So make sure you join me live either here or over at Option Pit. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a good one.